Hi everyone, I have Apollonia here today with me, and we shall be talking about things that you need to think about before getting a snake. The first thing is, will you have the room to house your snakes? Obviously behind me I've got vivariums. I call them tanks, but the proper name is vivarium. And obviously when they're babies they're living in small tanks, so they might live in a 1 foot or 2 foot tank, and then as they get bigger you might have to look into getting a 3 or 4 foot tank. Now that's more specifically with corn snakes, but if you're going to get anything that's bigger, say like a ball python plus, you'll have to think about, you know, getting like a 5 maybe 6 foot tank as well. So vivarium, sorry. But as I say, I've got corn snakes, and a 4 foot vivarium I think is the most, or the biggest size that they will ever need. There we go. She's been a little squiggle pot. So yeah, I'm lucky because I do have a room that comes off from my bedroom, and I'm able to put my snakes in it, obviously. So this is my snake room, and so I get my vivariums from a place called Provivs, and they're actually based in Hull, which is near me. And yeah, they've been really good. They've been great. Their vivariums are easy to put together. And when you do put them together afterwards, you should really, you know, seal them with like a sort of silicone seal, but you have to make sure that it's reptile friendly, obviously. So yeah, so I buy from them, and I've got a 2 foot tank, two 2 foot tanks from them, and 4 4 foot tanks for my snakes. So, but Australia will be going in a bigger tank. She's in 2 foot at the moment, but she will go into maybe a 3 or 4 foot tank as she gets bigger. But I just, you know, I'll just need to see how big she gets and make that decision then and there. But yes, that's something that you have to. There we go. That's something that you have to think about. Is the room that you have, you know, where you're going to put your snakes. Some people have them in their living rooms. I haven't heard of anyone have a snake in their kitchen, but I suppose that's a possibility. Oh, getting kisses from Apollonia. Yeah, so with Provivs vivariums, whoops, they are quite, well, I think they're very good value for money. My tanks have cost me about, in all, around the £80 mark for the 4 foot ones. For the 2 foot ones are a bit cheaper. I think they're about £60 all in, maybe 70, something like that. And that's a good price for vivariums, because some of them are in the hundreds, and obviously the bigger tank that you get, you know, the higher the price will be. But as I say, Provivs are absolutely brilliant, and they've helped me out a lot. So normally you have to wait sort of 4 to 10 days for them to deliver. It can be longer, just depending how busy they are. But yeah, as I say, I think the longest I've waited is like 2 weeks for them to deliver. Oh, there we go. And the next thing that you have to consider when getting a snake is, can you afford the cleaning products and things like substrate and possible vet bills, because they may, you know, obviously things do happen with snakes. They can get a respiratory infection if the vivarium is too humid. So you have to kind of keep the humidity between sort of, I'd say 50 and 60. There we go. So as I say, they can get respiratory infections. They can get all sorts wrong with them. I've heard of people's snakes, you know, get tumours and things like that, which I know sounds really dramatic, but I suppose anything or any animal that you have can get ill and get things wrong with them like that. But yeah, you have to just kind of consider, you know, what your budget is. I think when I buy the cleaning products and substrate and stuff like that, it costs me about, let me just think, it's probably about £50 every sort of 2 or 3 months, which isn't too bad. And when I buy their mice, I buy them every sort of 3 months, and I'll get a pack of sort of 25 sort of medium mice for these guys, for the bigger snakes. But for Australia, I'll get her like smaller fuzzy mice, and I'll get them in a pack of 25 as well. So but yeah, she's having a good wander today. Another thing that you have to consider with snakes is, would you be okay with keeping frozen mice in your freezer? That's the other side of it, because I know some people are a bit funny about the thought of having little dead animals, I suppose, in their freezer. But the way I think of it is, it's not much different to us having a frozen chicken in the freezer, getting it out, defrosting it, cooking it and eating it. So obviously, yeah, I'm not bothered about mice being in the freezer, but some people can be, you know, a bit squeamish about it. But I have heard of some people they'll go out on the day that they're due to feed their snake, and they'll, you know, go to somewhere like Pets at Home, or, you know, some other sort of local pet shop nearby, and they'll get a mouse for that day from the shop, and they'll defrost it and then give it to their snake sort of later on in the day. But I buy mine kind of in bulk, and it just makes it that little bit cheaper than buying just a few at a time. And also I live out in the sticks, so it's easier for me just to have them in bulk, and also to have them delivered, which is, you know, which is great and very handy for me because I don't drive. The last thing is, are you okay, or would you be okay with feeding a snake? Because they can be quite snappy, especially Apollonia. The females, I find, are very, what I call food aggressive. So they'll really snap at their food, they'll coil around it and, you know, then eat it. And yeah, so she really wolfs them down. She absolutely loves, you know, her mice and her food. So what I do is, to save them maybe accidentally snapping at my hand, what I normally do is I will have some tongs, which are about, I'm just trying to think how big they are or how long they are. They're about sort of 10 inches long. I've had Caduceus grab my hand by accident in the past. He was in blue and he couldn't see, and so he could smell the mouse, but he accidentally grabbed my hand. So it's good to have some long tongs for handling the mice. But yeah, and I mean, I think some people are a bit sort of, it's a bit disconcerting, you know, when they see a snake sort of open its mouth and, you know, as I say, they kind of dislocate their jaw. And I think some people are a bit squeamish and put off by that, with how they eat, because obviously as humans, the way we eat, we cut up our food and then, you know, chew it and eat it, whereas they obviously swallow their prey whole. And as I say, the girls are very enthusiastic about their food. The boys are fine as well, they love their food as well, but they're a bit kind of slower to eat to a degree, and they don't eat quite as quick as the girls do. But yeah, they're just all things to sort of bear in mind, you know, when getting a snake. I mean, the main thing is sort of making sure the setup's right, and that's something that I will be talking about in the future. But they make great pets. Corn snakes are very chilled out. They're great beginner snakes, and I think, you know, because they don't grow that big, I mean, the most they grow to is like, I don't know, the absolute maximum is 6 foot, but I don't think any of mine will get that big, considering they're 6-7 years old now and they're at their adult age. But yeah, seems to have calmed down now, so that's good. But yes, I will talk about setups maybe in my next video. But for now, from myself and Apollonia, it is goodbye. Thanks for watching.